who you've probably all seen pictures like, have photos like these in your family history maybe, or you've certainly read about men and women like these, but men and women who served as recon medics, or pilots, or infantrymen, or mortarmen, or signal specialists. Men and women who were part of a generation of 15 million men and women who served at a time when their country needed them. And they answered not only the country's call, but they answered the world's call. And they said they'd do it. And they went, and they did it. And their country went with them. Our country went with them. So 15 million men and women went and did it. But the men and women who are still here bought war bonds. They cared for the wounded when they came home. They rationed. They built aircraft and bullets. They were all part of it. Everyone had skin in the game. They had no choice. Right? And when those 15 million men and women came home, their country was ready for them. Here, FDR's signing into practice the landmark GI Bill. You had veterans coming home, going to school on that GI Bill in record numbers. Entire subdivisions of homes were built for veterans. And those veterans came home and they became examples, exemplars. They embodied the spirit of service and they inspired the rest of the generation. The generation, can't see the book very well, but the generation that came to be known as the greatest generation. Written about, talked about. It wasn't just the men and women of the military, the veterans. It was the entire generation, because they bound together in the wake of a world conflict, and they made this country into what it is today, in the wake of that conflict. Veterans and civilians alongside each other. So today, your generation of veterans is coming home. Right? And you're coming home after answering a similar call, a call by your country and a call by the world. You're also coming home with challenges, but with opportunity. You're coming home with needs, but abilities. You're coming home with the potential to turn this country into a similarly strong country that we're all proud to be part of and call ourselves home. Now, I would say that, there's also a hard truth with this. The hard truth is that your generation, this generation of Americans, will not come to be known as the next greatest generation. We're the newest greatest generation. Sorry to be so blunt about that. You won't. And the reason why is because this country did not go to war with you, or was not behind the conflict in the same way as in previous generations. Now, I don't mean that they weren't in support of this group, or they weren't in support of the military, that they weren't there genuinely in the airports with signs of gratitude, and aren't there on the streets in Veterans Day, and aren't behind the military community or the veteran community. What I mean is that our country was able to view the conflicts of the last 15 years at arm's length. Right? We had fewer, you represent less than 1% of this country's population, and the 99% who did not have to experience military service has fewer and fewer connections to today's military. And that's just the way it is. We're able to keep the military at arm's length. So this generation won't come to be known as the next greatest generation. But I'll say there's something else that differentiates you in this generation from the World War II generation. And that's that you were part of an all-volunteer force. Nobody except for Jim stood up when I asked, were you forced to go into the military? Were you drafted? Were you conscripted? You stood up and freely raised your right hand and said that you'd support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And in doing so, you bore the responsibility of military service and defending our country, but I also say you now shoulder another responsibility as a result of that commitment. You bear the responsibility of keeping the all-volunteer force, the non-draft, non-conscript force that our country has now. You bear the responsibility of keeping that strong for generations to come. Because what does an all-volunteer force rely upon? It relies upon volunteers. It relies upon people, future generations, stepping up and saying, I'm going to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And for people to volunteer, they've got to be inspired to do so. They've got to see the value and the virtues of that service. And you're the emblems of that. You're the examples of that. For the all-volunteer force to be around for a long time, people have to see not only that you have positive transitions home and you deal with the challenges and the needs that you've got coming home, but you're also beacons of service that say, that communicate to future generations that this is a virtuous and a valuable endeavor and something that keeps our country strong. I want to say those men and women I showed you at the start, they have something else in common, and that they're all family members and staff members here at the Mission Continues. And their examples were inspirations to our staff members in a myriad of different ways that now, that led to our staff members' own service. You can see some of the connections here, all family members. The point is that stories of service, both in conflict, in the military, and at home, inspire future generations to serve. We got to keep that flywheel turning. So let me go back